What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what time it is. It's Friday, party, 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 fun, fun, fun. Hashtag if you know, you know. Does anybody remember Rebecca Black? Shout out to Rebecca Black. Anyway, if you don't remember her, you need to Google her because it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal tale of just a bunch of nothing blowing up to something. It was crazy. Anyway, we got some things to talk about. We're going to talk about some stuff because this is the off season, and we're going to talk about some stuff. But before we talk about that stuff, before we get into that, we got to get some things out of the way. And first of all, and most important of all, when you see me in front of TV, one thing is for certain, and three things are for sure. Number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you those stats and not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three. You want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. You may be asking yourself, how, Don? How, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news pragmatic? Well, it's very simple. I'll tell you. I'm not going to hide it from you. That's not what I do. Smash like button, subscribe, share with your peoples. And once you've done that, in whichever order you've done it in, then you have indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And speaking about your peoples, when you share this with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your uncles, your neighbors, you name it, you have indeed cared about those people. What up to everybody in the chat? What up, though? Chef. He says, only thing that worries me about Linderbaum is the Giants. But I think it's either the Giants or he stays in Baltimore. So Baltimore is very, very interesting right now. There have been rumors that the Las Vegas Raiders are prepared to do a Ricky Williams type of deal in order to get one Lamar Jackson. This is not breaking news because it's not really news. They're talking about this is a rumor about a rumor, right? Apparently, Pro Football Talk has come out and said that there is a possibility that they could enter into trade talks. So he's not reporting that they're entering into trade talks or that they are in trade talks or that they necessarily will ever enter trade talks. It's just a possibility that they could enter trade talks and try to approach the Baltimore Ravens and say, hey, man, how about Lamar? But the crazy thing is this. If I'm Jesse Minter, who just got hired as the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, and I am a defensive guy, and all I need to worry about is my defense. And you come to me with some cockamamie ass bullish talking about, oh, we thinking about shopping Lamar. I'm gonna be like, you need to void my goddamn contract right goddamn now. Just void it. I'm not coaching your team. Sorry, we're not doing that. So I don't think it's ever gonna happen. But it's the silly season, and remember, the phrase "the silly season" was coined by yours truly. So if you hear anybody else out here using it who's not affiliated with me, and I don't rock with them, call them out on it. Anyway, so we got some things to talk about, man. What up, Irv Gotti? What up, the TaylorMade Media? No, TaylorMade, they're not facts. They're anybody who is talking about shopping Lamar Jackson is probably on drugs. But we do have a development. I don't know if you guys have been following the Mike McDaniel saga. Mike McDaniel might not be the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers after all. Reports the Bills will be interviewing Mike McDaniel for the head coaching position. And Josh Allen is heavily involved. Do you think Mike McDaniel is not going to be the next coach of the Buffalo Bills? I think he will. That doesn't mean that Drew Pretzel. Okay, I can't say his name. I can't say his name without putting an R in it because it's too close to pretzel. It's got a P in it, it's got a T in it, it's got a Z in it. And what other words do you know other than pretzel that have all those elements? Grew pretzel. Grew pretzel is what it is. That doesn't mean that Grew Pretzel was the right hire. Saying that Mike McDaniel wasn't the right fit, maybe because he was actively still searching for head coaching jobs. And we didn't actually know. Actually, wait, when we hired him, had Sean McDermott been fired? Well, not when we interviewed. I don't think. When we interviewed Mike McDaniel, Sean McDermott had not yet been fired. So he may have told the Lions that while he is interested in the job and while he's going to take the job, if they offer it to him, he may have his ear to the ground. Right? And that's, I guess, the deal that he made with the Los Angeles Chargers, because he will be the Los Angeles Chargers offensive coordinator if he does not take one of these head coaching jobs. So if he doesn't get the Bills job, look for him to revert to the Los Angeles Chargers and work with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh. What up, though, Brent DeWitt? Yes, I did say saga. You like the words I fit in, huh? Like, you're so intelligent, you're so articulate. That boy good. Where is he going to park his Bentley in Buffalo? In underground parking in their brand new stadium. Brent DeWitt said we hired Uncle Fester. We did indeed. So yeah, that's the latest update, man. Obviously we have to let this play out. This whole Grew Pretzel situation has to play out, and it'll play itself out. And while we may not like the hire, while he may not have been the sexy name, while even our own players, shout out Amon-Ra St. Brown, had to Wikipedia him and look him up, even though they shared the field with him a couple of seasons ago in Arizona when we played the Cardinals. And that's where we first, got an up close look at Roy Lopez. Even though they were on the same field together, Amon-Ra St. Brown had to Google him and find out who he was, because he had never heard of him. That guy told you that. His brother didn't know a damn thing about him. His brother also played in the NFL. And I'm sure at one point played against the Cardinals. He also didn't know who he was. And his brother spent a fair bit of time on the sidelines, not in the game. So he had enough time to party and BS on the sidelines with his fellow players, his teammates, about who was on the other sideline. Hey, man, don't that dude over there look like Uncle Fester? Don't that dude over there look like Grew? Don't that dude over there look like Mastermind? Oh, you crazy. Boy, you's a fool. He had time to do that and did not know who Gru Pretzel was. So while we don't like the hire, while we didn't know who he was, gotta let it play out. We're gonna let it play out. That's what we're gonna do. And that's not gonna be the focus of today's show. I told you yesterday we started the article of the offseason do's and don'ts. The first do and don't was do get edge rusher help in here, young edge rusher help. And I told you guys that's not Bradley's MO. That's not Bradley, Melvin, Matthias, Shaka Zulu, Shabadoon Mawumbo, Kingsley Aguakun, Ignatius Holmes's MO. But one thing that could help the Detroit Lions take a first-round edge rusher is to get someone like Tyler Linderbaum in here. You get someone like Tyler Linderbaum in here. He's young. Was he about 25, I think? He is here for most of the next decade if you do it right. You don't have to worry about center. You want to run the football? How about get someone from the Ravens offensive line? Because running the football is something that the Baltimore Ravens do very well. They've got Lamar Jackson. They've got Derrick Henry. They have Keaton Mitchell. They've got and they've had guys coming in and out of there. Gus Edwards and you name it. You name it. Right? Any running back that ran behind the Ravens offensive line looked good. Gus Edwards parlayed his success and his time in Baltimore as a rotational piece in the running back by committee into, at one point, a starting role for the Los Angeles Chargers. Then they went and got Najee Harris, who got hurt, and then I think Gus Edwards got hurt, and then they went and got Omarion. I got an ice box where my heart used to be. Anyway, shout out if you know, use the hashtag. So again, a Tyler Linderbaum would help us to do a lot of different things in the draft. It still remains to be seen what's going to happen with Taylor Decker. But if Taylor Decker retires, you've got $21 million in cap space freed up automatically. If Taylor Decker doesn't retire, then you've got someone who's going to be solid for you. And you may not have to go and address tackle in the first or second rounds. You may be able to get a guy who's just going to be solid for you. And then you may want to address it next year, right? Tackle. Because again, Brad Holmes, and I repeat, has not spent upper echelon draft pick or draft capital on the offensive line, save Penei Sewell and Tate Ratledge. You have one first-round draft pick on the offensive line in the 5 years that Melvin, Matthias, Bradley, Namumbo, Kunta Kinte, Shaka Zulu, Ignatius, Fidelity, Holmes tenure. Y'all like that Fidelity, right? I just did that. That was all of it was off the top of the dome, but you like Fidelity, don't you? Got put ain't nobody ever had Fidelity in their name. Come on now. Stop playing with me. I make up names. Let me see what y'all got. All day. Say it with your chest. Pumping iron, clanging and banging. I make up names. TaylorMade says, wait, Jim Harbaugh is putting up with all that? Jim Harbaugh is putting up with all that because having Mike McDaniel as your offensive coordinator is the dream, especially for someone like a Jim Harbaugh, who, while he is not an X's and O's football coach, he played quarterback in the league. So of course he could be a play caller if he wanted to. But Jim Harbaugh wants to rally the troops. He wants to run into the locker room and say, "Who's got it better than us? Nobody." He wants to do all of that. He wants to manage the game. He wants to do all of that. And that's what Dan Campbell does best. So having a guy like Mike McDaniel as your offensive coordinator is the dream, because you can give him the keys of your offense. And you don't have to worry about it unless you're Dan Campbell, that for some reason wants some sort of control in the offense. Look, do you run the football? Yes. Do y'all bust your guns? Damn right we bust our guns. All right. That's another one I can't finish on here. So is it too late for Brad and Dan to say psych? Well, yeah, I think it's too late. I think it's too late. A lot of group pretzel been going on around here in this city, so it's too late to say psych. I was told that the new OC is headed to the Hall of Fame because Chris Long digs him. Well, I guess. And you know, when Chris Long digs somebody, pause, he's always right. Didn't he dig Ahmed Hasni? I mean, wasn't he on board with the Ahmed Hasni pick? I sixth round. I don't know. Sixth round. I don't know. Is that good enough? Sixth round. I just want to know. Is it good enough? Was it? Played a lot of snaps for us. I can tell you that. He helps take the Lions to the Super Bowl, build him a statue. It'll be a Gru statue, a Gru pretzel statue. If he helps take the Lions to the Super Bowl, I might even learn his name. Brad, the type who will let Hendrickson go to Chicago. Bigger facts than you understand. Bigger facts than you know, bro. That dude will be in Chicago, posted up on the opposite side of Montez Sweat, wreaking havoc. And there was something I wanted to say about Chicago. Again, all of you that have been listening to me from day one, all of you that have been with me throughout this evolution of Chef and Motor City Don P and all these things, right? All of my regulars and those of you that have been pretty regular recently heard me tell you that Caleb Williams had the tools to be something in this league if he got the right coach. If he got the coach that was going to coach the love of hero ball out of him, that was going to hone his ability to understand hero ball is good when it's necessary. You can't play it every play. That back pedal throw that he threw that everyone's raving about, that's when it was necessary. And they tied the game and they went to overtime based off of that bit of hero ball. Running backwards 15 yards, turning around, gathering his feet, throwing the football up, and having someone come down with it and score a touchdown was phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, this offseason shopping list has to, I would be remiss throughout this offseason to not be talking to you about what the rest of the NFC North is doing, because we did talk about this last year. We did talk about this last offseason. I would be like, damn, the Vikings got Javon Hargrave, and then they got this guy. And I'm like, damn, the Bears got this guy, and they got that guy. Damn, the Packers got this guy, and they got that guy. And then the Lions were sitting there, they're like, that's cute. We're the king of the North. And we did nothing to get better. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? No one is checking for the Lions anymore in the division. They're not doing things to beat the Lions. Now the Packers and the Vikings have to be doing things to beat the Bears. The Vikings are making a grave mistake with Brian Flores. They're making a grave mistake with Brian Flores. If Brian Flores is not in Minnesota as the defensive coordinator next season, the Vikings are going to be right back down in the cellar. Without that defense, they could not have taken that mid-ass quarterback that they have and gone 9-8. They would not have won 9 games without that defense. I'll tell you 2 games they wouldn't have won. Detroit and Detroit. Without that defense. Without Brian Flores absolutely eating Johnny Moe's lunch and Dan Campbell's lunch, they do not win those games. Without Brian Flores, you don't split with the Chicago Bears. Did they split with the Packers as well? Without Brian Flores, you don't do that. You don't go 4-2 in the division without Brian Flores. So make the mistake for sure. I want you to make the mistake. But again, the fact that Brian Flores is out there, the Steelers thing is, it's Mike Tomlin's put his name in the hat. Mike Tomlin has put in a good word for Brian Flores. Remember, never forget, when Brian Flores was out of the league because he was suing the league, Mike Tomlin's the one that brought him back in. Mike Tomlin made him a senior defensive assistant and the linebackers coach in Pittsburgh. Don't forget that. And the ownership signed off on it. Don't forget that. So if anybody is going to give Brian Flores a head coaching job, it's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if that happens, Minnesota really couldn't have done anything. But if he's the defensive coordinator anywhere else, bravo, Minnesota. And shame on you, Detroit Lions. Shame. Back up the Brinks truck, throw the bag at that man. But we talked about that yesterday. We talked about the fact that the Lions are still running an outdated defense. And Brian Flores is a pioneer in defense. Brian Flores would give you a feared defense to go together with offensive pieces, because that's all you have, weapons on offense. Until you fix the offensive line, that's all you have. So, again, Caleb Williams is going to be somebody that you have to deal with twice a year for a very long time. Caleb Williams is going to continue to get better as long as he has the right coach. And he's fully bought in to what Osama bin Johnson is talking about over there. So we have trouble with Jordan Love. Caleb Williams is better than Jordan Love. So I'm just saying. What up, though? Get back, Joe. Appreciate you. He says, I watch your live streams. I'm the one who watches but doesn't comment. Well, I appreciate you commenting, bro. And I also appreciate you watching. Doesn't comment often. It's all good, man. Never heard of the guy before, but he's listed at over 300 pounds at center. He can move some people. Yeah, he's good. Newsflash. I was watching the Pistons game. All good, all good, all good. Larry, which Larry? Larry, Moe, and Curly? Center from Kentucky, been getting some hype lately. Again, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that in the draft. We have this thing called free agency. And all you got to do is spend some money and you can fill some holes. This is a shopping list. Free agency allows you to vastly improve your team in a very short space of time. Just look at the New England Patriots. Just go look at them. That's all you got to do. Just look. You ain't got to go in the building. I mean, if you don't want to go in the building, that's fine. Just go look at them. Go look at them. What up, though, Tactical Sport? What do you mean? We got Davenport? Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. Caleb Williams did something that Jared Goff could never do in any lifetime, but I digress. They have signed a deal with Brian. He will either be the head coach somewhere else or the DC of the Vikings. Okay, that makes sense. There you go. So now we are looking for. It's on you, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, it's on you, baby. He needs to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Stop playing now. Stop playing now. It's on you, baby. Absolutely, Coach Mike T set him up for the gig in Pittsburgh. But how would you validate Dan Campbell's coaching tree if Shep ain't the DC? I don't give a damn about a coaching tree right now. I need I need good coaches wherever you got them from. If you had to go to the Cleveland Browns and get some good coaches that are going to get you back into Super Bowl contention and be competent, and because that defense, go get Jim Schwartz, man. I don't know. I don't know if he ever wants to come back to Detroit and he had the players in Buffalo carry him off the field and all that douche stuff. But goodness gracious, let bygones be bygones. Phenomenal defensive coach, phenomenal defensive coordinator. Shep's not that guy. Maybe he can grow into that guy. I don't know. But all I do know is everyone was so excited for Shep, and he had this guy with him, and he had Jim O'Neill, and he had this guy who his spotter, and he, oh, my blind spot. He's gonna fill in the void and help me with my blind spots. How'd that work out? It didn't. It didn't. Bro, you have to have the Lions defensive coordinator position under Dan Campbell is a high risk job. Right? It's one of those jobs that they pay you more money to do because they're not safe. You know what I mean? It's not safe to think that you can go out there with one philosophy for the entire season. You're not going to have people. Y'all practice too hard, padded Fridays, your medical team sucks. There's something wrong over there. I am in Australia, and there's a lot of Somalis over here. And I'm only giving you the nationality to show you this is not their game, okay? Right? It would be soccer. That's the type of football. So this young, well, he's not. I guess obviously he's young to me. He went to school with my son. My oldest son, who just graduated this year. So they both just graduated. And I saw him yesterday. And every time he sees me, he's a Ravens fan. Every time he sees me, he talks to me about football. And he said, one thing I noticed about your team is that they always manage to get injured. He said, y'all have like the worst injury luck ever. And I said, you're right. What else can I say? So we understand that the preparation that we do not do for people being injured is crazy. Shout out Michael Brockers when he was on the heavyweights a few days ago and he was talking about how basically, yeah, man coverage, a lot of guys got egos and you allow them to show their talent, this, that, and the third thing. But when you're down to your third and fourth stringer, gotta do something different. And we still want to play man coverage when we got freaking Thomas Harper out there. Thomas Harper is not Kirby Joseph. I don't know if y'all knew this. He's not Kirby Joseph. Avonte Maddox, while good, while a veteran, while a Detroit guy, while a Super Bowl champion with the Eagles, is not Brian Branch. Is he more capable than Thomas Harper? Yes. Who's Daniel Thomas? We had Arthur Mollett out there. We had Eric Hallett. Literally the Legion of whom? And still felt that we should still be able to play the same type of defense. Do your damn job is what Bill Belichick said. Bill Belichick expected everybody to do their damn job. But Bill Belichick had crazy defenses that came from drafting, free agency, and trading. And he didn't deal with a MASH unit every single freaking year. You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to make changes before you get into a game and go, oh, I thought that would work. If you can't generate pressure just from the front four, then you've got to be able to put together an exotic blitz package to get home. Brian Flores does it. Dennis Allen was getting home with these blitzes, corner blitzes, nickel blitzes, and safety blitzes off the edges and corners during the Rams playoff game. And as I said, the Rams defense simply made one more play than the Bears defense did. They picked off Caleb Williams in overtime. But it was overtime, which means that the teams were dead even for the entire game, and they needed another period to decide the winner. The NFL is a copycat league, and the Lions are putting 3 linebackers on the field. The NFL is a copycat league, and the Lions said, hey, Brian Branch will be full-time safety because Kyle Shanahan said, well, we went more, heavy personnel to keep Brian Branch off the field. Okay, move him to safety when they go heavy, but put him in the nickel. I don't get it. It's you make adjustments. If a team is doing a certain thing that's making it harder for you to win the game, you must, in that same game, counter them. You don't sit up there at the podium and say, man, if you take away that 99-yard run, we only gave up 137. If you take away those 5 explosive plays, we didn't give up any touchdowns on the ground. If you take away this, if you take away that, no, Shep, we don't do that. We take away things before they happen. That 99-yard touchdown run that you're talking about, you should have took it away on the field because you can't take it away after they tally it. Those 5 explosives that you gave up for touchdowns on the ground, you should have taken those away on the field because they don't take them away after they tally them. When you're talking about them at the podium, talking about if you take them away, no, you don't take them away at the podium. You take them away between the lines. I mean, it's just it's a short leash now. It's a short leash. We've been dealing with these excuses and this garbage. We've been dealing with not being able to make adjustments. We've been dealing with not having the talent, not having the players on defense. We've been dealing with all of the injuries. It's enough. Stop it. Get some help. Literally. I know that's the Michael Jordan meme, but literally stop it and get some help. Get some guys in here who are going to be healthy and who are going to help you win a Super Bowl. Thank you. Next. Whew. Anyway, I know your comments are piling up. Not going to happen because it makes too much sense. Dump an average DC for a proven one. LOL. Keep up the great work, Don Wick. Appreciate you, Mr. Detroit City. Brad's cousin, Larry Holmes. Okay, I got you. Agreed. I want to double up and sign a veteran center and draft one. I don't want to draft one right now. The reason I don't want to draft one is because we have far too many holes. Sign me a veteran center, sign a Tyler Linderbaum, and he can hold it down for the next 7 to 10 years. Cool. We can draft a center when it's not so much of a need. When we need to develop a guy, right? When we need to have a guy waiting in the wings, that's cool. We have, okay. We said we were going to talk about the shopping list. Let's talk about the shopping list. Let's start from the offensive line. Okay. The offensive line, we need a center. We need a tackle. It's either right or left because Taylor Decker, if he plays, is only going to play one more year. Okay. So on the offensive line, we need a center. We need a tackle. And we might need a guard. Because we don't know what Christian we know Christian Mahogany did not look good when he wasn't playing next to Frank Ragnow. So maybe if we get someone the caliber of a Tyler Linderbaum, then that would make Christian Mahogany look better. We really don't know what Miles Frazier is going to look like. Miles Frazier was so heavily touted, but once he got able to play, he was still kind of in and out of the game. He was rotating. We're like, where's Miles Frazier? He can't be worse than anything else you got out there. And we were rotating him with the Tristan Colognes of the world. So let's assume you need 3 pieces on the offensive line. Where are you going to get those 3 pieces? Okay. It's got to be draft, free agency, and trading, which is exactly what Ryan Poles did. And everyone was clowning Ryan Poles because he was a terrible GM. How many holes does the Bears roster have right now? Okay, so we started at the offensive line. Let's go to the defensive line. We need an edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson, for sure. 100% for sure. That's 4 positions. Defensive tackle, you need to re-sign Roy Lopez, and I guess you're just going to roll out there with Tyleek and Aleem McNeil. Right? So let's just say you need a defensive tackle. I said that's Roy Lopez. Okay? So that's now 2 more positions. That's 5 holes that we need to fill. Let's look at the secondary, shall we? You need 2 safeties because we don't know what's going on with Kirby Joseph's knee, and we need a reliable replacement. If we just say, hey, he's got to miss this game because of load management, because we want to prolong his career, he can't play back-to-back games for the next season, whatever. You need to have someone who is competent, who, while he's not going to give you the same ball hawking ability as Kirby Joseph, he's not going to be a super duper fall off. You're not going to be stepping down from Kirby Joseph to Thomas Harper. And I know there are people that like Thomas Harper, but Thomas Harper was a practice squad guy. And what do I say about practice squad guys? They are professional practice players. They practice football professionally. What are we talking about? We're talking about practice. Again, if you guys don't know it, practice squad players are professional. They practice, well, hold on. They're professional practice players. And what do? They practice football professionally. And what are we talking about? We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We can't rely on these guys anymore. So that's 2 safeties. What are we at? Two on the two. Okay, 3, 2, 5, 7. We need 7 players right now. Okay. What are we doing about DJ Reed? Do we think DJ Reed is the answer? I don't think he's the answer, but you can't do anything with him because he's been paid $16 million a year. Okay. Is Amik Robertson your nickel corner? Are you bringing him back? He's not under contract, so that's a need. Okay. So you need a nickel corner. Who's Terrion gonna be once he comes back? I've always been a person that will defend Terrion because he has the technique, he has the coverage ability, and he was cutting down on the penalties this season, but then he got injured. So let's say we're set at outside corner, which I still don't believe in DJ Reed at all. I really don't. Okay? We need a nickel corner. That's 8 guys now that we need. We don't know if Alex Anzalone is coming back or not. If we're still going to run out, if we're still going to run around with 3 linebackers, then we need another one. And even if we say we're going to switch to 2 linebackers, then we definitely need a dynamic nickel like Brian Branch was. So now we definitely got to get a guy to replace Brian Branch because Brian Branch is not going to play until November, December. He's going to be gone to November. Shout out if you know, use the hashtag. Right? So we're at 8, 9 players right now. Thankfully, we, as far as offensive weapons are concerned, we don't need anybody. But guess what? With Drew Pretzel in there, we need another tight end. We've got 10 holes to fill, guys. 10. There are 11 players on each side of the football. We have to fill almost an entire side of the football amount of holes. Pause. I mean, we can't do it all in the draft. We can't. Don't be afraid to throw some super chats in there. I know, there's a lot to cover. And I know I talk to you guys a lot, but sometimes there's just a lot to cover. There's a lot. Like some of your comments require like a 5-10 minute answer. And it's a lot. So don't be afraid of the super chat. I accept them. I accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, debit. I don't accept checks, Cash App. I accept all of them. I don't even accept Venmo anymore because I can't get into my Venmo. That's another story. Jim is staying with Cleveland. It was stated that they are keeping him after Stefanski was fired. Well, there you go. A lot of people doing a lot of things that they should be doing. Something wrong. How many defensive players make more than $20 million a year? Well, edges definitely do. Kirby Joseph is, and shout out to Pierce Sargent yesterday was suggesting that we tag Brian Branch, you know, but that's gonna be up there. How come people are still surprised by injuries when Brad actually drafts and signs players who are injured to start with? Seriously, we're not surprised. The fans aren't surprised. The fans that follow the Detroit Lions are not surprised. Other people, like I said, the kid is a Ravens fan. He doesn't know who Brad drafts, right? He doesn't know about their injury history and everything, because if he's paying attention to anybody and their injury history and all these things, it's whoever the Ravens are picking, you know? But for our coaches to be unprepared for the injuries, that's the crazy part. And I'm looking at you, Shep. What you mean the Legion of Whom isn't as good as our starters? Who knew? Exactly. I know Kirby Joseph. I love Kirby Joseph. I even have his jersey. This is not about him. They're talking about his name maybe being wrecked. Okay, that didn't happen overnight. His knee being wrecked. Brad had to know that, and he still signs him to an extension. If you can't block up front, it doesn't matter. Facts. TK85 is a professional practice squad route runner. Facts. Terrion's got to stay on the field. Cat's got all the skills at CB. Facts. Wyclef, indeed. That's what she said. Yes, 10. 10. Steal Komet from the Bears seems like a good fit. I don't think Komet comes over here. Is his contract, is he going into free agency? Unless he's just like, damn, all this Colston Loveland stuff. Colston Loveland is I almost called him Cade. Is Caleb's guy. I don't want to be there anymore. You know, I want to go to the Lions where I'll be overshadowed by Sam Laporta, maybe, depending on Sam Laporta's back situation. Hopefully he's young enough and it wasn't serious enough. And he bounces back quickly. Comet is what I clean the tub with. We don't need that on our football team. Shout out Comet, bro. Shout out Comet, the big green. All right. Let's look at some more of this article, because if I don't, we're not gonna get to much of it. What was the okay? This is another due. It says round out secondary depth. The Lions have some injury concerns in the secondary, with Kirby Joseph dealing with a nagging knee injury and Brian Branch coming off a torn Achilles. Additionally, 2024 first-round pick cornerback Terrion Arnold was limited to 8 games due to a series of injuries, and Ennis Rakestraw didn't play at all due to a training camp injury. With these injuries, the Lions need to invest in their secondary to ensure that there is depth available at any moment. Avonte Maddox and Rock Ya-Sin were both helpful additions on one-year contracts last season, and the solution could be as simple as re-upping with both players. However, Branch is entering the final year of his rookie deal, while Arnold and Rakestraw are both heading into year 3. Hedging the bets on the future by bringing in another young talent at either position could pay dividends in the future. See, he keeps talking about young talent, which means that we are going to have to draft all of these players. Again, we can't draft a lot of players, or there's a lot of players that should have been on this team already, but those roster spots went to the law firm of Hooker and Martin, right? Tesla and Manu. Again, a 3rd-round pick for Carlton Davis, and then don't re-sign him. Carlton Davis is a dog. No way in hell. See, here's the thing. A lot of people thought that the DJ Reed signing was that's a great lateral move because you had to bring him in to supplement losing Carlton Davis. Who you think the Patriots would rather have? Carlton Davis or DJ Reed? Who you think the Lions would rather have? Carlton Davis or DJ Reed? Simple, man. Simple. Establish the center of the future. Again, center of the future. What does that mean? Let's see. With Frank Ragnow returning, consider a long shot. The Lions need to identify who their center of the future is. Tate Ratledge got a healthy dose of reps at the position in the offseason, but it's unclear whether or not they view him as a long-term answer for this problem. So if you move Tate Ratledge to center, then you have to get another guard. You see what I mean? Veteran Graham Glasgow played the majority of the season at center, but had an up and down season and struggled with injuries near the end of the season. A potential solution was Kings. I told you there's going to be me and Christian. We got beef. We got beef. This man said a potential solution was Kingsley Eguakun, but he was poached by the Cleveland Browns off the practice squad during the final week of the season. How does one watch Kingsley Eguakun and say that's the guy who's going to be our center of the future? Are you effing kidding me? Really? I told Doc, I said I'm gonna need to get Christian on the show. He's got to answer for his sins, bro. He's got to. We gotta get it. Like, I gotta understand his takes. Remember, this is the same guy that said, who was a replacement for Zadarius Smith that he said that we didn't need Zadarius Smith because we had Ahmed Hassanin or something like that. I think that's what it was, which is crazy. Both of them played the same amount of snaps for the Detroit Lions this season. And one of them went to the Philadelphia Eagles and retired. Kingsley Eguakun was a potential for what? Potential for what? Kingsley Eguakun got poached from the practice squad, which means that he was practicing football professionally because he's a professional practice player. What are we talking about? We talking about practice. We talking about practice, not the game. Not the game that Kingsley was getting his ass beaten. Not the game. We talking about practice. Okay. As a result, the team needs to evaluate whether Ratledge can be a tangible option for the future. If not, adding a center to the mix is a main priority to stabilize the interior offensive line. See, Tate Ratledge may be an awesome center. He may be. But I don't want to take the gamble. Tate Ratledge was above average as a rookie as the right guard. Let's let him continue to grow in that position. Unless what you're gonna do is you're gonna move him to center, and then you're gonna sign an established veteran right guard. You're gonna have to sign somebody. We can't just go with this youth movement for the entire offensive line. Between the tackles, everybody's a rookie or a second-year player. That doesn't make sense. The whole entire interior is just rookies and second-year players. Unless they're beasts, right? Unless they were beasts as a rookie at center, but he didn't play center as a rookie. So I don't know. I just don't. I don't want to take the risk. Um, let's see what we got here. If the Patriots win the Super Bowl, the city of Detroit will hear about it from Carlton Davis III first. I mean, you're not wrong. If Brad drafts another corner ahead of an edge, I'm gonna lose my mind. LOL. Yeah. But I don't see. Here's the thing. We have so many holes to fill that you really can't get upset at him drafting anybody unless it's like a kicker or a wide receiver or a running back. Like something that we absolutely do not need. We've got so many holes everywhere. If Brad Holmes goes out and drafts a dynamic safety in the first round, can we really be upset? Because we don't have one. No one's available. We don't know what Kirby's knee situation is. It is a degenerative knee injury. That means it's going to continue to degenerate. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. He may have to retire early. Because this same type of injury, not having any cartilage, remember Brandon Roy, Minnesota Timberwolves? Remember him? There's some other people that had that situation. I think Derrick Rose had that situation, but he beat it. He beat the odds, played for a long time. I don't even know if Derrick Rose is officially retired yet. He was in the league, 3 years ago? You can get mad at Brad for putting the team in this position, for not properly putting a roster together. There was a tweet today, and the guy was glazing the 2023 draft. Oh, this was insane. And Doc commented. He said, put the rest of the draft up there. He said it was bipolar. And then there was someone that commented underneath, well, if you could draft, what did he say? 4 all pros. I don't care who he drafted next. Why? The who he drafted next is the reason we have 10 holes in one offseason. Do people not understand that? Brad Holmes emptied himself and then rolled over and smoked a cigarette. And there were still 3 more rounds to go in the draft. 4, sorry. And he was like, I don't care, just get what you want. You know what I'm saying? I bet you going to the store? Yeah, you want something? Yeah, I don't know. Just give what you want. I tore that ass up. Boy, I tore that ass up. What's she bringing you back from the store? Yeah, I don't know. Anything, man. Henry Hooker, Broderick Martin. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, bro. You know, Manu. Tore that thing up, boy. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we're in the position that we're in. Isaac Tesla, 3 third-round picks for a wide receiver. You have 10 holes to fill. Don't you think you could have used those 3 third-round picks? At least 2, right? Because unless you were going to trade out of the 3rd round for another 3rd rounder and you just weren't going to make a selection there, You're gonna select somebody. So, um, what's this? If we draft any other position than edge and O line, I'm gonna be pissed. I got you. I'm 100%. My whole thing is that I wouldn't be mad that he drafted another position in this draft. I'm mad because he put us in that position where we have so many holes. We had a few more holes than this when they came in because we were devoid of talent. We needed anybody and everybody. And now that we're not devoid of talent, we need quality depth and we need some starters. You know? And the thing about Kirby, you don't know what you need for him. Do you need a replacement for Kirby or do you need a guy that can back him up and be competent because he's going to miss a lot of games? That's the problem. That's the position our roster is in right now. Emptied himself how? Wait, pause. You know how you empty yourself and then you smoke? That's how he emptied himself. He emptied himself. All right, let's see the don'ts really quickly, and then we're gonna get to mailbag, mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they're reading you? Snickers, mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bash, get it. It's gonna be one of those days today, bro. It's hot as mess right now. Hot as mess. All right. What happened? Why is this up here? What is that? Can we get hold on. Uh all right. I got this thing on my screen. I can't get it off. All right. Okay, let's see the don'ts. All right. Ignore potential offensive line changes. The fact that we have to say that is crazy. Don't ignore offensive line changes. Um The Lions have had some issues with injuries amongst their veterans on the offensive and defensive line, and heading into 2026, may have to make some tough decisions. Taylor Decker is mulling his future, and as a result, the Lions may have to find a replacement at left tackle. Um, Ragnar's decision to retire left the Lions without a certain answer at the center position, and there were issues as a result. Detroit can ill afford to ignore the potential for Decker's departure and needs to invest once again in the offensive line as a result. Giovanni Manu made his first career start against Cincinnati this year, but spent most of the remainder of the season on injured reserve. This makes it difficult to say that the team has the answer opposite of Penei Sewell, and as a result, the team should bring in another competitive option up front. Don't sit out free agency. Detroit will begin the 2026 offseason in the red as they currently have negative cap space per over the cap. The Lions have negative $21,363,059 in effective cap space for the 2026 season. As a result, Holmes and company will have to make some decisions to give them room to add players. And as I said, it will be very easy once you restructure Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Penei Sewell. You'll have damn near $100 million in cap space. This could be as simple as contract restructures for veterans on big deals or as difficult as making cuts. Regardless, the front office has to have a plan for generating enough room for the team to make additions in free agency. Holmes has done a nice job of accumulating talent that makes this team one of the best in the league, but there are still holes that need to be addressed. Simply put, the Lions have too many areas of need to ignore by not bringing in veteran additions. Agreed. Don't gamble on health. In Holmes' tenure, the Lions have taken plenty of chances on one-year deals with players who have history of injuries. Players like Emmanuel Mosley and Marcus Davenport fit needs, but have struggled to stay on the field during their respective tenures. While some of these deals are low risk from a financial perspective, moves like this can have dire consequences if they are viewed as set in stone solutions to questions at different positions. Davenport played a total of 10 games in 2 years after being expected to help Hutchinson in the pass rush packages. If Holmes is to add players with injury history with bounce back deals, it would be beneficial for the team to also ensure it has other options available in the event that the injury bug once again bites. So the only thing I really didn't agree with him on was the Kingsley Aguakun crap. He could be the guy. Yeah, he's not the guy for the future. Well, that was crazy to say. Uh, um, trying to what was the thing with Keon Coleman and then the owner? I heard something about it briefly, but um, Dan cleaned up the empty. That's crazy. Ew. That is crazy, bro. That's his guy. Millbag, I recall you coining the phrase silly seasons, but do you also write 6 articles a day while grilling a moose? I do not do that. I do not do that. I did coin a phrase, but no, I do not write 6 articles a day. Um, Fun fact, I used to work for a very controversial media outlet writing, and I won't mention it here. um, Mailbag, why do you think Scotty Montgomery is still on staff in light of recent events? I mean, Scotty Montgomery was like the assistant head coach. Um, we hired an offensive coordinator. We didn't hire a head coach, so he's not going to come in here firing guys. I mean, he may have a couple guys that he brings in, um, but just like when AG left, a lot of guys got promotions, right? Johnny Moe came in here and he didn't start firing guys. He wasn't like, get Hank Fraley out of here, get this guy out of here. Nah. So people are still on the staff. Scotty Montgomery is the wide receivers coach now. Um, and so he's still got a role working with Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Isaac Tesla and them. And I think he's still the assistant head coach. So I don't know. Mailbag, is St. Brown accurate in his assessment about the Lions fan base? He's accurate about some of them. There's a lot of them that don't know ball, and again, like I said, let me look at the tweet exactly, okay? Because I did this was I'm gonna tell you, this guy doesn't know ball, and people say stuff. All right, here it is. The Detroit Times says the Detroit Lions 2023 draft class was insane. And he posts the um the part with Jameer Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Brian Branch. He posts that half of it, right? It's a picture. So Doc comes in, Detroit Sports Podcast, and he said it was actually bipolar. Love how they cut off the rest. Post the whole class. So then this guy replies to Doc and he says, drafting 4 starters is an A plus. Drafting 4 all pros is impossible. I don't care if they drafted John Macaroon, Mickey Mouse, or Winnie the Pooh in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. That guy doesn't know ball. He doesn't. So Doc replies, you should not care. Better teams, the teams that win Super Bowls, also find some gems in later rounds also. But I do think the project era is over, thankfully, since the team regressed badly. Again, someone else who doesn't know ball. Damn, you're right. They should have gone 8-8, 8 for 8 on drafting Pro Bowl type players. Plenty of teams do that. Sarcasm fine. Doc says this team needed 1 to 2 more contributors. Here's another guy. If any team hits 4 drafts in a draft, or 4 draft picks in a draft, they are ecstatic. Not even talking the level of these 4 either. You may be the most negative Lions account on here, and that's saying a lot. And then someone else comes on and says every draft from 2020 to 2023 was a banger. 2025 underrated. 2024 is the draft that was a complete miss. 4 Pro Bowlers in any draft is incredible. There is the miserable F-wit at Detroit Podcast we all expect. Again, you want something from the store, babe? I mean, get what you. I tore that ass up. You know what I'm saying? Get what you want, baby. What you gonna get? Broderick Martin, hit the hooker. Badu, that's what's left. Hey, get it, baby. You know. Hey, and come back next year where I tear that ass up again. You know what I'm saying? 2024, baby. You know. I implore anybody who has this opinion that it was a top-notch draft because he scored big on the first 4 picks. So it didn't matter what she did in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Okay, it may not matter what you do in the 6th and 7th round, not even really the 5th round. But the 3rd round and the 4th round, you still could have got contributors. Instead, you got a bunch of guys. Go look. Who was drafted after you took Hendon Hooker? Some of them are major contributors on playoff teams. Some of those guys are still playing in the playoffs. They're going to be playing on Sunday. And they're starters for their team. So it's not like everybody that was drafted after Brian Branch was a bum. No, there were still rounds left. There was still participation to be done. I don't care if you take a project player. That's great. Take them in the 6th round. If everybody wasn't losing their minds over Ahmed Hassanin, a guy that was drafted in the 6th round as a project, I wouldn't have said anything about it. But I'm like, you guys are crazy thinking that this 6th rounder is going to come in here and be the freaking Messiah, bro. And Brad gets up there, 6th round. I don't know, 6th round. What do you mean? You didn't address the edge position at all. You drafted a guy in the 6th round from Egypt that has only been playing football for 5 years and did not touch the field for you this entire season. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. He didn't touch the field. Nobody's telling you that Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch were bad picks. It's not wrong to ask for more. You had an opportunity to get more, and you punted on the opportunity because you sat back and you said, well, my job is done. If anybody needs me, I'll be reading the Wall Street Journal. Hey, babe, can I have a bit of that sauce? My man checked out. It was like, but Mr. Holmes, you still have you still have a couple days in the hotel on your reservation. No, I'm fine. I've done what I needed to do. I came here for round 1 and round 2, and I'm out. I'm leaving. Someone else can step in and be the GM for the rest of this draft. I'm leaving. I've done what I needed to do. I got 4 all pros in the first 2 rounds. I'm done. I'm finished. Game, recognized game. I thought you knew. It's the new 2 Live crew. Bro. LB is needed as well. Yeah, we talked about LB. We talked about that. That's why I said you actually don't need a linebacker. If you start playing defense like everybody else and Alex Anzalone leaves, fine. We need to have 2 linebackers. But guess what? Now you got Derek Barnes, who can't cover anywhere nearly as well as Alex Anzalone, who's not a great edge rusher. He's not a great blitzer. And you're not going to replace him because you just paid him. But that was a Shep guy. Because Shep has been coaching him since he got to Detroit, and that was his guy. And he was a non-negotiable. And that's why he needed to be re-signed instead of Anzo. Because Derek Barnes somehow was going to go out on the market and get $8 million a year. Derek Barnes. St. Brown should talk to the jugs machine instead of the fans, to be honest. Even the dumbest fan knows when the ball hits your hands, you catch it. J-Mo number 1. Is that you, Mr. Detroit City, or somebody hacked your account? I never say we whenever I'm talking about the Lions, but we as a collective have to move on. We need to move on to the Super Bowl. That's where we need to move on to. Game recognized game, but I will not stand for WSJ slander, though. Who's WSJ? World Star Jones? Hold on. I feel like I should know this. Who's WSJ? JMO doesn't lose his composure and yap like a loser after having the most drops in a season like Saint. Now you switching to JMO, bro. Oh, Wall Street Journal. Okay. Yeah, because I did say that. Yeah. If anybody needs me, I'll be reading the Wall Street Journal. Bro, what's it gonna take? What is it gonna take for the majority of Lions fans? And I told you guys, Before this all season started, I told you I can't stand Philly fans. I really can't. But at the end of the day, if we want change and we want to win, we're going to have to get in our Philly fan bag. We have to stop accepting mediocrity. Everything that Brad Holmes does is freaking gold. Like it's the R. Kelly tape, bro. Yes, that's me, Robert Kelly. Yes, the singer. You want my social security number? You know what I'm saying? Is it like we have to stop acting like everything he does is gold, bro. He missed a lot of draft picks. He signed a lot of injured players. He hit on a lot of draft picks. He has not hit on a lot of free agents. He made good trades, but then didn't keep them here. He's made mistakes. Just because he built a roster that took you to the NFC Championship game doesn't mean he's infallible. Broderick Martin was terrible. Hendon Hooker was terrible. The Manu trade was terrible. The Isaac Tesla trade was terrible. Not getting in on free agency is terrible. But you couldn't trade anybody at the trade deadline. You know why? Because you didn't have the third round picks, because you gave up 3 of them for a wide receiver. Was this a luxury pick? And it was a knee-jerk reaction. You know why? Because instead of drafting, like many people, because Puka was drafted in the 5th round, instead of drafting Puka in the 5th round, you drafted Colby Sorsdale, who is awful. But because Brad Holmes thinks okay, microphone's back. I don't know when it dropped out. Saint obviously has to go see his therapist and figure himself out. What up to Mr. Morale 313? But I mean, I can't understand people like, why are you so negative? Because we want to win. We're not winning. When Dan Campbell tells you, hey, this may have been your opportunity, this may have been it, we may never be back here again, and then you go, hey, it's okay if we never get back. I don't get it, bro. I really don't. I just don't understand. I'm not gonna go at Melvin as much since his boy Toy ran his mouth defending his moves. Saint can take the load for his boy moving forward. It wasn't St. Brown's fight, but he signed himself up for it. I would hate to get on your bad side, Mr. Detroit City. All right, but I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. So we will see y'all next week, and we'll talk about whatever it is that comes up over the weekend. We're gonna talk about these playoff games. And hopefully we'll be talking about the Rams going to the Super Bowl, I guess. All right. Once again, the Motor City Cats R&D back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.